I'm Amy Wagner. I've been working with Carter for 6 months. I'm his occupational therapist. Some areas that we've definitely seen improvement for occupational therapy, his head and neck control has improved drastically. He was where his head would just kind of bobble to one direction, and now he's getting to the point where throughout treatments he can pretty much lift his head up and hold it for a few minutes before it gets too tired. Physical therapy, he is getting a lot more control over his lower extremities. He's now able to bend and straighten his leg without too much assist. On cue, it takes a little more effort for him, but before we were having to place his legs, and now when we ask him to, he can slowly work his leg up or kick it out. In the walker, he's showing he's ambulating better. He's able to bring his legs around one from the other without too much catching of the toe, which he was having trouble with the toe. So we have definitely seen improvement in Carter in the last 2 months since Dr. Steenblock and Dr. Ramirez have done his stem cell therapy.
My name's Curtis Claver. This is my wife, Sheris. Go ahead.
We live in Eddyville, Iowa. We have 2 children, one that is 16 and a half months old, a little girl, Maylee, and then a son, Carter, who's 3 and a half. They both have a condition called methylmalonic aciduria cobaltin B deficiency. Pretty much their bodies don't possess the enzymes to break down 4 amino acids found in protein. So because of that, they have to have a certain supplement every day that gives them protein without those amino acids, and they also get shots every day and oral medication. On top of that, our son Carter takes medicine for dystonia, which is muscle spasms that he has that he can't control, and it's something we battled since he had a stroke when he was 15 months old. When Carter was born, he started out perfectly fine, healthy, developmentally and everything. There was no concern for anything at all. Newborn screen came back perfectly normal, nothing at all. And then 15 months old, he all of a sudden one morning woke up hyperventilating. And I ended up calling the ambulance and everything, and it took him 3 days while he was at the hospital, and he ended up having a stroke in his basal ganglia of his brain, which pretty much affected all of his physical parts of his body. He wasn't able to pull his head up. His trunk just slept over. Couldn't move his arms, legs, couldn't even talk. He could cry, but was no longer able to talk or anything like that. No feeding himself, couldn't hold on to anything. He was almost like a vegetable being trapped in his own body, because mentally he's very intelligent. It didn't bother that part of him at all. In fact, most of his therapists have commented they wish there was a way that they could actually test him, because they think he's a lot smarter than we all really think he is. So really it was like he was trapped in his own body. Before the stem cells, we tried all kinds of different avenues. We had taken him up to Rochester in Minnesota to the Mayo Clinic and saw the head of neurology for pediatrics there, and the only thing they could do for us was try different medicines on him to control his dystonia, because it was so bad that it wasn't just the spasms we were seeing on the outside. His arm would twist 360 degrees, his head would get cocked and stuck to the right, his legs would literally be stiffened at the knee and you couldn't bend them. The only other thing they could offer us at Mayo was to do experimental brain surgery on him, where they'd put an implant in his brain that would hopefully control the muscle spasms. But even that was experimental, and it's never been done on a child that young before. So I started researching on the internet and calling different places around the U.S. and stuff like that to see what I could find out. If there's any trials that I could get him into for stem cells or anything like that, that could potentially help him, because Curtis and I discussed that brain surgery was completely out of the question. There was no way we were going to let them, do anything like that. Right. And then my mother actually was helping me contact people through email and stuff like that for stem cells, and she actually had someone respond to her from Duke University, and she actually had a couple websites that she gave us, one of them being Dr. Steenblock's in California. And so that was actually how I initially found Dr. Steenblock. I did kind of, I don't want to say background checks on him, but, you know, I checked him completely out, and the testimonials that he had on his website, there was a couple of them that I actually went and found their personal websites and blogged and talked to them, email and stuff like that, to see what their experience was like and everything, because the first thing that we told people about here was that, you know, going to Dr. Steenblock in California, we do the stem cells in Mexico, in Tijuana, Mexico, and everyone was just completely appalled that we'd think about taking our son there, you know? Right. And so, you know, I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a hoax, because a lot of people have seen, even that I found on the internet, people that have went to do stem cell treatments that ended up being a hoax, and they spent all this money on literally nothing at all. And then we met Dr. Steenblock on a Monday, and we went over Carter's history, his MRI, everything, and Dr. Steenblock, everyone in his office was very nice. And then the next day, on that Tuesday, George, the driver they have that takes you to Mexico, which, bless his heart, George is an awesome guy. But he came and picked us up where we were camping at in our RV there, and drove us down to the hospital, to the clinic, to meet Dr. Ramirez. And Dr. Ramirez was his whole team is a very good. After they got Carter sedated and everything, they actually came and got my husband and I, because when we went over there, we brought the stem cells from the U.S. over there, and they actually they were on dry ice, they actually let us warm them up in our hands and actually hand them to the doctors, and we got to watch them administer the stem cells completely and take pictures and everything while it was happening.
That's neat.
So yeah, it was very unique opportunity and very nice. The biggest thing that came from doing the stem cells, you know, before, like I said, he didn't gain much. What he gained, he'd lose when his dystonia would kick in. We have to wean him off medicine and everything. And so after the stem cells, we actually started noticing 3 weeks out changes in him already taking place. Definitely more relaxed. Before, we weren't able to lay him down on the floor on like a blanket or pillow or sit him in the chair. We pretty much had to hold him most of the time, to where after stem cells, he loves laying on the floor and relaxing and, you know, sitting in the chair, and he doesn't have all these spasms going on, where he can actually lay there and actually watch a whole cartoon if he wanted to and not get uncomfortable or anything like that. His hands, even, you know, before, fisted all the time with his thumb inside, so bad that we'd have to put powder in his hands, and literally pry his hands open and put them down for them to dry out, because they would get so bad they'd start peeling from the sweat. That now he's relaxed, a lot more happy. You can really tell a difference in his whole emotions even. Overall, we've been very happy and very glad, I guess, counted our blessings that we went and saw Dr. Steenblock and Dr. Ramirez and had the stem cell treatment done with them down in Mexico. Even with the big controversy with stem cells, you know, finding out that it was ethical stem cells used from donated live babies, you know, here in the U.S. that we took with us, you know, that was a huge thing to make us, you know, yes, we do want to do this, you know. But just the improvements we've seen just a little time, you know, since his stem cells has been well worth it. Even if he didn't improve anymore from now, it's still been well worth it, to where we plan on, need be, we'll go back there anytime to do another stem cell and do anything with them. But I think it was probably the best thing we could have done so far for Carter, to get him to lead a normal life as much as possible.